Hey guys, welcome to Homestead Where You Are, where I am learning homesteading skills on my small 2/3 of an acre piece of property. My name is Janet, and thank you for joining me. Today, I'm going to be taking some number 10 cans. I don't know about you, but my garden was a complete fail this year. And it just got too hot too fast and stayed that way, and watering was an issue because I'm in California, so we don't get rain. Well, none to speak of anyway. So anyway, I am going to be I bought these number 10 cans for $3.50 a piece. So I figured, I've done this many times, it's better to have something put up than nothing at all. So today I'm going to be recanning these into smaller jars and getting them in my pantry so that I have some tomato sauce and some pizza sauce. I think this it's tomato puree, which usually the tomato puree I'm able to water it down a little bit, and I end up with quite a bit out of this one can, so it definitely makes it cost effective. So anyway, here we go. I love having this restaurant style can opener here. Only thing is, it is old, so I do have issues with it from time to time. Okay, so we are starting with the tomato puree. I'm going to pour this into this pitcher because I'm going to need to add some water to it. Now I already have my jars heating up. I'm going to turn that down in this pot, and I have my water heating up in the pressure canner, getting ready. Not too hot, just enough so that I don't shock the jars. And you can see this is, because it's puree, it's pretty darn thick. So I am going to add some water to this and stir it up real good. Now, I'm not going to season this or do anything to it because I want it to be just plain tomato sauce so I can use it for anything. Besides, this other can is pizza sauce, so I mean it can be used for pasta and all that too. That is still pretty thick. If I can get a little bit more in there. I think that's probably good enough. Now I'm not going to heat this up or anything. So the only thing I'm going to do is, you have to remember at this point, if you were making the tomato sauce yourself straight from tomatoes and you went through all the blanching and the pureeing and all that good stuff, this is the same finished product that you would end up with right here. So I start from this point, and it says to pressure can for 15 minutes. But because I'm starting with it cold, instead of heating it up first, I will actually go closer to about 30 minutes. It doesn't hurt anything to go a little bit longer, but that way I can make sure that it gets heated completely all the way through. So I'm going to get my jars. I don't know if I'm going to have enough jars for all of this, especially the smaller ones. So I'm going to start with 3 of the pint size. And then after that I will be using half pint. Nice thing about doing it is in this pitcher is it will be nice and easy to pour in. And it should be 1 inch headspace. And I am going to take, I have all of my lids in this stainless steel container here, and I'm going to put some of this hot water in there. I know they say you don't have to boil them anymore, but I'm doing this just to heat them up, just to soften them a little. So I'm not going to actually put them on the stove or anything, but I am going to put this hot water in here. Actually, what I'll do is dump the water in there as I take these jars out. Okay, that's full now. Wanted to make sure I got all of the lids and rings covered. Alright, let's see if we can get these filled. Now I will tell you, some people will say that I should add lemon juice to this, but what I'm going to tell you is I have never had a problem with these products not being acidic enough. And I've done this many times, and I have never had an issue. So I do not add lemon juice to mine. Alright, set that out of the way for a minute. And normally I would wipe the rims, but I did not really get anything on the rims, so I'm good with these. If I do get some on there, then I will wipe them before I put the lids on. But as I said, the nice thing about using that pitcher is it makes it real easy to pour the stuff in there, as long as you're careful. Start setting these down in my canner. Actually got that a little hotter than I wanted. Has a slight boil, but I think that's because I had the lid on it. So, because it already quit boiling as soon as I took the lid off. Now I'm going to wait a minute before I put these other jars in, because I have a whole bunch of jars that are the same size. So I want to fill the whole bottom layer of jars that are the same size, so that when I put my spacer rack in there, then I don't have to worry about them being the same size on the next layer. This way my rack doesn't get all lopsided. So. I'm just going to put a little bit of water in here because this at the bottom was a little thicker anyway, just because it's hard to get it stirred up well. I got sauce on this one, so I'm going to wipe it off real well. Now, normally I would try and go ahead and fill the canner. I don't have anything else other than this can to do, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to tell the difference between the two products, and all of it won't fit in there anyway. So I'm going to do this load separately, and then I'll do this one just so that I can tell them apart. So. Lid on. Turn the heat back up a little bit, but not too much. I know where the sweet spot is on my canner, so I'm gonna let this come up to pressure, somewhat pressure, and start venting. And after it starts venting, I will put a timer on for 10 minutes, and then I will put my weight on. Okay, so this has been venting now for 10 minutes. So I'm going to put the weight on, and I'm going to wait for this to get up to pressure. Now I have to watch mine. This is a Presto Canner, and the weight is a 15-pound weight, and for my elevation I only need 10 pounds. It doesn't hurt anything if it goes to 15. If I put my stove as low as it will go, it actually goes to about 15 pounds, and I just leave it there. It's fine, it doesn't hurt anything. But when it gets to the 10 pounds, that is when I will turn my stove down all the way to maintain at least 10 pounds of pressure. And as I said, I will let this process for about 30 minutes. So while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and get some more jars in here heating up so I can get started on the pizza sauce. Now make sure if you're going to do this and the water is already in there and the water is already hot, don't just plop this down in there, because it will create a vacuum and then a big splash, and that hot water will come back and get you. So turn it sideways, let it go just a little bit in so that some water starts going into it, and fill it slowly. Okay, this is all ready at 10 pounds. I'm going to turn this down as low as it will go, and I'm going to start my timer. And as I said, I will let it go for about 30 minutes, and I'll bring you back for that. Okay, I just wanted to show you what I was talking about with the pressure. I have that burner down as low as it will go, but yet mine stays basically between 14 and 15 pounds, which is still okay. So all right, timer has gone off. So I'm going to turn this burner off. And I'm going to let this come down to 0 all on its own. If you try and rush the process, you will have a couple of things. Number one, you could cause your jars to break because of the pressure change is too rapid. You can also have your jars siphon because of the pressure change. And it may not be stable and shelf stable if you do that. So you want to let this come all the way down to 0 naturally, all on its own. Don't touch it. So now we are going to start jarring up the pizza sauce so that it's ready when I take these out. And yes, these are brand new lids. This is left over from a sleeve that I purchased. I don't know how many I need, but I'm going to stick those down in my water. And this time, because this is a little bit thicker and a little bit chunkier, I'm not putting it in the pitcher. So I'm going to use one of my funnels. And I'm just going to start filling this up. And again, 1-inch headspace. I'm actually kind of surprised at how chunky this is for a pizza sauce. If I would have known that, I would have used my immersion blender and chopped it up a little bit more, but I'll leave it like it is this time. But I will remember if I buy this brand again that I might need to blend it up some. And I guess that's just a matter of preference, so. I don't really think I got anything on here, but there's more possibility of the funnel scraping the sides and getting food on it. So go ahead and wipe them off. Definitely want to make sure I get some of these smaller ones filled up, because there's only 3 of us, so we don't always need a large jar. It just depends on what we're doing with it. So now I got a couple of these jars a little full, and that last one's not full enough, so I'm going to kind of spread it out a little bit. Okay, so we have 6 small jars and 4 pint-sized jars ready to go in of the pizza sauce from 1 No. 10 can. Now keep in mind, I paid $3.50 for this can. Now not everybody can, but I have the luxury of having several discount stores to choose from. And even at that, I can buy a 12-ounce jar of pizza sauce for $1. This is 16 ounces instead of 12. So for every, 3 of these, that would be another jar. So 4, 5, 6, 7, it would be like 8 jars, I believe, if I'm calculating right, somewhere in that neighborhood, to have the same amount of pizza sauce. So it would have cost $8 that way, which is half price. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm interested in saving every dime that I can, so that is why I do it this way. Plus it just gets a lot of it on the shelf and ready to go. So anyway, when this canner finishes getting down to 0, I'll bring you back in and we'll take those out and put these in. Okay, now my pressure gauge says that this is at 0, but if I move that a little, you can still hear some air in there. So I'm going to let it go for another few minutes. Make sure all that air is out of there before I take the weight off. Alright, we're good to go now. So I'm going to take this lid off. Now remember, when you're doing this, to make sure you open it away from you, because that's going to be some very hot steam coming out of there. You're going to want to set them down on a towel or something like that. I have these little mats that I put down. And you can hear the ones down inside here pinging. It's a lovely sound. Okay, now we were talking about the cost effectiveness on the pizza sauce, but now let's talk about the tomato sauce. The interesting thing is, because it was a tomato puree and I was able to water it down a little bit, it made it much more volume of product. So for that same $3.50, we got 3 pint jars and 15 half pint jars. So definitely worth the cost buying the tomato puree and doing it this way. And don't know about you guys. I know, I'm trying to practice homesteading skills, which would typically mean that I grow the tomatoes myself and process them myself, make the tomato sauce or the pizza sauce or whatever. But I'm just learning a lot of these skills, so I'm not there yet. I will get there eventually. But for me, it's also about getting product on the shelf so that if something were to happen, we have it available. And also saving money, because that's a huge thing for us. I buy everything in bulk that I can buy in bulk. But also for me, it's about learning the skills at the same time. So by doing this, I'm practicing the canning skills and honing in on those skills. Eventually they'll be second nature to me. But again, for me, it's just all about saving money. I'm on 2/3 of an acre. I will never, ever be able to grow or raise all of my food, which is the goal of somebody homesteading. So that's the whole point I want to make, is you do not have to have a 3-acre garden. You do not have to be able to raise chickens and pigs and cows and all of that stuff in order to practice some of these skills and save money and eat healthier and all of that stuff. So I hope all of you guys can take something away from this. Just buying in bulk makes a huge, huge difference in our grocery bill. So now I'm going to put these in the canner, and I'm going to run them through the same process that I did these. It was the 30 minutes also. I'm not going to put that on video because you already seen it once. There's no point in seeing it twice. Everybody will just click off the video at that point anyway. So I'm going to leave it here. I definitely appreciate you guys for stopping in and watching this video. If you want to learn more about the bulk buying and canning or recanning or whatever you want to call it, check out this video here or here. Not sure where it's going to be. And you'll see where I did some relish and peppers that I bought in bulk. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope I see you on the next one.